Morning, morning, morning. Yes, we're back. Podcast is unleashed. Right now, share. New technology is what we're going to be talking about. I'm telling my co-hosts to share. I'm telling the audience to share. Share this link. We're going to be talking about new ways how to start and decide to invest in any kind of business. So you want to listen. Doesn't matter what kind of business, you're going to have your say. We're going to share our experiences. So we're going to start off with a slide. Oops, excuse me, started off the wrong end. Okay. So the first slide, new technology. New technology of this century has been electric cars, AI, which we will get into later, I know, with the beloved Matilda and Howler. And obviously we've got apps in the right-hand corner, and we've got the tech be-all and end-all of technology itself, which is the computer, the smartphone, and the iPad. So before we even go into that even more, I'm going to not forgetting to introduce my co-hosts. So starting with Carla in the corner. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, I'm Carla and I'm the host of the Wonder and Wellbeing podcast, which is a podcast that's all about education and well-being. Over to you, Victor.
Hi, I just can't laugh. I'm Victor Osio. I'm the host of the Diaspora Entrepreneurs podcast, where we talk about everything entrepreneurship, moving from the core 9 to 5 towards the lifestyle of freedom. Over to you, Matilda.
And hello, everyone. I'm Matilda, host of Coffee with Matilda, A Journey to Self. And my podcast is about finding yourself, loving yourself, and coming out of adversity stronger than before. Over to you, Simon.
Thank you. And I'm Simon. Taxi Chronicles in my podcast, along with Africa Investor Stories, where Taxi Chronicles, I just interview people who get into the taxi from all walks of life, sharing their experiences, their stories. I'm nearly hitting the 700 mark, and it's growing. We're on all major platforms. Africa Investor Stories about people from around the world who have invested in the mother continent, Africa, with 33% of the world's known natural resources, that even this technology we're using now comes from Africa. So without further ado, moving along, I hope you've had a good weekend, and we'll be moving back into our conversation today. Conversation starts about technology. Our aim of the technology today is talk about decisions that you make prior to investing in any form of technology. And when I say technology, it's basically new technology. You've got to understand the technology you're going to be using. You've got to understand the technology to the aim of how you're going to work that technology. So our first question will come up. In the meanwhile, before we jump on there, I believe there's a comment. Carla?
Yep, we've got a comment from George. Hi, George. Nice to have you back with us.
Okay, yes, George, the one and only, our faithful number one fan. So, starting with that, Carla, I would like to ask you a question. What would you say are the best investments in the new technology industry today? And this doesn't just go for Carla, this goes for the audience in itself. I know each and every co-host has their speciality, so you feel free to talk about, introduce your speciality in these questions that are pumped up. So we're going to
I
start off.
would definitely say it's all about crypto and the metaverse, which can be quite complicated, actually. But I would say that Sandbox looks like a pretty good investment at the moment. NFTs, certain NFTs look like good investments. And also the back-end technology that goes with crypto, because there are a lot of problems with cryptocurrencies. There are a lot of high gas fees. And anything that is investing in those protocols that are going to bring those fees down and make things work a bit more efficiently in that space would be a good place to invest. There's so many, really. There's something for everybody, all different types of interest. But NFTs, crypto, and the back-end technology, Web 3.0, anything related to that and where we're going in the next 10 years is definitely a good place for people to start with simple investments, I think.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to Matilda, what would you have to say about what Carla said? I know you were nodding your head, really happy, really enthusiastically. What did you have to say?
Well, obviously, I agree with Carla. It's about cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and metaverse. I think a lot of our life in soon, maybe in 10 years, will be in metaverse. So maybe we should invest in metaverse more than what we're investing in our real life. That's what I think the new generation will go forward. And also gene editing, I feel like that's gonna be our next, maybe next 20 years. That's where the world will go towards gene editing and metaverse.
Thank you. Howla, I know you're big on passive income. Can you tell us how what the future is you feel for investing in passive income methods?
Well, before that, I just want to add something. Everybody now is investing in crypto, the artificial intelligence, and metaverse, and everything is the Web 3.0. But again, we see this war in Russia, and we see some resources that have been cut in Europe and in some countries. So a lot of people they are investing too in oil, in gold, in raw materials because they now actually especially in Europe because they know that in the future there will be hard times here. A lot of people also they direct their investing depending on the environment they are in because crypto is a trend and it will stay. But I do think that there are people that are acting because of the circumstances.
Matilda, I see you raising your hand.
Yeah, now that Kaula is talking about raw materials, I want to say there are a lot of people advance in the game, of course. They're investing in raw materials in metaverse because, for example, they're buying lands in Amazon because they need a lot of trees. I mean, don't ask me how it works or what they're thinking, but this is what a different generation is thinking. They need raw materials for their metaverse life, and see how different world we are living in. Some think about this, what's happening in our real physical life, and some are just thinking about the metaverse and our virtual life.
You know what's interesting? Just want to add something. You have this metaverse trading lands. It's called Earth 2, and people are buying lands, especially in Africa and Nigeria, because one day they will just put the materials there, and they know that in Africa there will be a lot of materials. So everybody is trying to invest in the virtual lands, especially in Africa.
Talking about virtual land and talking about Africa, we've got the one and only Nigerian in house with his mother tribal beads on his necklace. You've invested in land, real estate, and much more. What's your opinion on the best investments and why have you made these decisions?
Thank you, Simon. Thank you. I would say I'm a little bit old school when it comes to investing, and my generation. I'm very happy with my generation because we are the bridge from we saw the internet come up. We did not grow with the internet. We saw it coming, and we have to adapt the internet. So we still, I think, some subconsciously, we want to let money go. We need to make sure that it's actually physical, something that we can actually see, feel, touch. Compared to crypto now. And I think, according to Matilda, there are people who are advanced that's from my generation, but I'll still say I don't know too much about crypto right now, but when it comes to maybe Web 3.0 and other new technologies, not just on the metaverse, people are investing in different types of virtual real estate, like domain names, they flip domain names, they buy what's it called? They buy and rent shops online, from Amazon to Shopify. So these are what people actually like, apart from the main metaverse. And also I discovered something lately. I went to an African shop, not a shop, but it's like let me say like a dedicated kitchen. So they run what's it called? They run virtual restaurants from there. So I'm like, what is going on here?
I'm interested to know how that works because
Yeah,
you're
virtual
not going
restaurant.
to eat the food. So
So-
it's just like a fun game then.
No, it's not a game, Simon. It is a pure restaurant, and they have like it's a kitchen. They have like 7 or 8 restaurants virtually from that spot.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, as a human being, you do not get to eat the food. So your character eats, your avatar eats the food. Is that correct?
Nah. See, it's on Uber Eats. It's on these delivery companies. So now this is how it works, Simon.
I'm
Take
listening.
5 of us now. You are a vegetarian. The other guy is, say Carla is
A pescatarian.
vegan,
Mm.
and Matilda or Hala is like halal type of food. So they prepare specific food and they advertise specific food. So when someone places an order for a vegan dish through that vegan restaurant, they prepare that vegan. That it is just like, whoa. See, Simon, we don't know what's coming, but I know it's very exciting. So let me just stop there.
So you mean like if you're playing the game in Sandbox, for example, Victor, you could just like walk into the restaurant in there, order the food in character, but it will actually be delivered to you in your home in real time.
Yeah, I think for now what they do is just through Uber, Deliveroo, and these delivery companies. So it's on the app. So when you go to the app, you search for the name of the actual restaurant, the type of food that you want to bring that food, and you just, if you want vegan cakes in that proximity that they deliver to, when you type in the search word vegan cakes, you bring the list of vegan cakes, and if you choose that restaurant, it is just from one shop.
You know
So it
what?
gets made and delivered to you.
That makes sense. You know why? My phone line now has gone from like £60 a month to £10 for 100 gig every month. And there's a reason they must be. I'm thinking, how are they making money? Because they realize their market's going to die, and what's going to be the angle is going to be data. And you'll need data if you're going to be on the web 3.0 and all of that stuff and do things like that. So the data will be the most important thing because people won't be making calls.
Yeah.
And that makes very much sense. So moving on from that, I'm just going to bring up another slide. New technology. Now we're talking about, selecting the correct business podcast based on your life experience and your personal character. There's some things you need to think about. I was taught by a very wise man that when you're starting a business, you've got to consider one of 3 things. Is a business going to be for sale? Is it going to be a franchise? Or is it going to be a legacy? As you see, family, business, and legacy. Those things are very important for someone to decide. Now, also, obviously, we spoke about the business of the podcast and selecting what market. So what we've been discussing just over this time now is avenues that we see that are happening. What triggered to me is when I believe it was Matilda mentioned Howard mentioned about energy, costs and things like that. In London now, energy costs, or in England now, energy costs have been doubled. But whose fault to invest in the energy company who supplies you energy? Do you see what I mean? And they've also invented these new meter things that go in your house that they can read how much energy you're reading on point because it works with the Wi-Fi. So if you haven't got Wi-Fi, it doesn't work for them. So why would you not invest in the Wi-Fi? These are all prime examples of how you can invest. So on the next question, please, Carla. Thank you. Why did you, for those of you who started a business or a podcast, why did you start your business or why did you start your podcast? Now I'll jump to Howler on that, please. Why did you start? So I know, but from my record, you haven't done any business yet. So why did you start your podcast and what was the angle of the technology that you were using?
I think we need to start somewhere, right? So podcasts can lead us to major business network at the end. I guess is anything you can do as a passive income or as promoting something is kind of business. So yeah, and I am doing something to launch soon as a podcast journal to help people to podcast. The reason I have started podcasts is just to network and to gain knowledge and to learn more about people's journey. I think it's just a great idea for anyone who wants to get into the business later on.
Okay, that's good. As podcasters, I have to ask you this: did anybody have a final aim game for what their podcast is going to finally achieve? Are they going to sell it? Does anybody have that in mind when you started? We're all podcasters here. Did anybody have that in mind? And if so, why? And if so, why not? If you didn't, starting with Matilda.
I never thought about selling my podcast. I thought if I'm starting something that I'm passionate about, which talking with people, traveling, this was before COVID, and meeting people and interacting with them, then it can be something that I can carry it for a long time. And I'll see what will come out of it. Maybe later on I can have a talk show somewhere that I can have investors investing in the show. But I have a long way to go for that. I need to first gain the experience and also work on my podcasting skills. I'm still new and I still have a long way to go to be a professional like Joe Rogan. I never thought I can be Joe Rogan. No, it's not my style of show. But like opera type of a show is my...
Oprah. Oprah. Okay. So, Carla, can you read the comments, please?
Yeah, Sasha says best investments in technology are in AI, I think he means there, and carbon stock market, I think. And he says perhaps invest 5% in crypto, but not more before regulations. Don't mess with central banks. So, yeah, interesting comments there from Sasha.
Okay. I will add to what Sasha is saying when he talks about investing 5%. I was listening to a billionaire talking on one of those YouTube channels, and he was saying if you get your pay, you take, let's say 50%, you pay your bills or whatever your bills will cover. Then from that, you break that down to 100% based on what you've got remaining. You keep 15% for your everyday costs. And then from then on, you look at, okay, I'm going to invest the rest. And then you keep on doing that. And eventually, where you've invested in different avenues, you start to get dividends back. And the dividends, when you get the dividends back, you say, okay, if I got $100 or pounds for that dividend, I'm only going to spend 50% of that money. And I'm going to put the other thing back into something else. And you keep on doing that. So over the years, you're going to get more and more and more. But it's a patience game. But if you can play it like that, you'll get there quicker than if you're doing it in a different fashion. So I just thought I'd throw it out there and let people know and that kind of thing. Sorry, got another comment, Carla?
Yeah, George says, my best investments are the sheet music I've been trying to rescue, as I've been doing for 40 years and for the last 20 years doing digital reconstructions of lousy Xeroxes and horrible photos.
Okay. Victor, what was your ideal plan when you started your podcast?
Yeah, I think it's just I think it's just like what Hala said, networking to start with which it was kind of, it's organic, just going, because most of the people I speak with are the people that I really like to like hang out with. So, and I come to them with a show, like I know friends, oh, hey, you can help someone with this. So on the back end, it was networking, because I really needed to change people around me, or I needed to like not change, but just upgrade the people that I'm with, get better, speak to more articulate people who are going to the same direction, and they have the strategies that I need, and I need to like network with them. But the ultimate goal is to actually help Africans and Caribbean in diaspora who were like me, who are looking for ways, practical ways, strategies to actually move from what they're actually doing, the grind, the 12 hours, the 9 hours shift, those kind of grind, towards being their own, having their own freedom. And freedom, respectfully, is not the freedom to go and chill out on the beach. No, it is the freedom to actually have your weekend with your family, weekend with your wife, weekend to yourself. You can choose the days that you want to hustle. Just keep growing that other part of you. So I think that is why I went into podcasting. But what I found out was that I enjoyed the networking on the back end.
And what about yourself, Carla? What was your ultimate goal?
I think it was a mixture of things. I wanted to learn the skill. I was just really curious about what podcasting was all about and how you did it. And because at the time I was working with a teacher, I just was in this habit of just taking courses. I would take at least 1 or 2 every year just to learn a new skill and just find out what was happening out there and maybe teach it to my students. Because it was a new technology at that time and it was just really growing, and all my students were interested in listening to podcasts. So I just thought it would be something different. But I was also exploring different things that I might like to do after I finished teaching. And that was just one of them. I just wanted to see what was out there. And also part of it, I think, was what Victor said, just like trying to meet new people, a new network of people with the similar kind of ideas about things, and also just like improving your communication. Because I'm quite an introverted person, and you can kind of get stuck in a rut of not talking to anyone new, not putting your voice out there. So it was all those things that I wanted to kind of explore, really.
Victor, I saw you putting your hand up. Sorry, we can't hear you, Victor.
Yeah, just looking at what George's comment just now is just, George, this is the past 20 years you've been doing digital reconstruction. I'm telling you, I would suggest that you should just keep an eye on them and make sure you get digital certificates for all this stuff, because they are real estate for you, and it's never going to die. It is going to go on and on and on and on. So I think you are on a roll. Don't just say, anyways, I don't know if it allows you or not, but just keep on reconstructing them digitally, and it is a great piece of investment, and it is real estate for you.
Yes, that's really good.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. From my own experience, I had just come back from Africa, and I had my first couple of failed businesses, and I realized that I needed to learn a lot. You realize when you lose like £250,000, you realize, I may have a sit down and a recollection moment. My mate said, I'm very strong because I'm not having a midlife crisis, because I was just entering into my 40s, or maybe I was in my 40s, a bit of denial. But point being, I decided to do a podcast course because I thought I needed to learn about marketing, what I know on the internet, and I didn't know anything about that. I ended up doing a podcast course, and the idea was I talked about investing in Africa. So that's my first original podcast idea. and I somehow turned that into a business. And I did not think, should I sell it or anything like that? I just thought I'll turn it into business and I'll start to get money in, and then suddenly I will be able to make a decision somewhere down the line. I'm yet to get there, but I'm still working on it. But moving on to the next, there's a comment that Sasha brought up, and I just wanted to ask him, when he talks about the carbon market, does he want to expand on that? I'm not sure if you can see it, Carla. Are you there? Are you with us? No, it's the one that Sasha brought up. Yeah. The way he talked, no, not that one. It's back a bit. Yeah, so when he talked about the carbon stock market, does he want to expand on that? Because I can talk about, from Elon Musk's point of view, what they did, they invested in the mines that produce batteries and to secure their car industry, to make sure that no one can overthrow them from the back door. And this is something that, as individuals, we should be supporting our investments in everyday things we use. Carla, if you could bring up the next question, please. So this is what I'll talk about now. How did you identify your trends in your emerging markets? So I'll go straight to Victor on that. He's the most invested person here. How do you decide that houses is the way to go in Nigeria?
Yeah, see, developing properties is not like what's it called? It's not like crypto, which is a trend. I don't know. Hala mentioned that crypto is a trend. Is it still a trend? Because it's been around. I don't know for how long. And how long does the trend last? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? I don't know. But houses, you know, they are not trend. They are real. You know, you can feel them. You get. So I saw that it's just the opportunity that I saw. It's not the trend, because I know where I'm invested right now. We have so many diasporans and people who left the town, but they are going back in droves now. So they needed somewhere to actually stay. You know, somewhere more safe, somewhere secure, gated community. So I said, okay, why not? Let me do something like that and try to attract them towards that particular place. So I saw that as an emerging place. You know, and you know, Africa is a whole new. It's not an emerging market, but it is a market that you need to put your eyes on. If not, it goes like from 0 to 100 in just like that. So you need to put your eyes in Africa. And what you see today, because of the challenges there, people are now willing to throw their money in and grow stuff out. We have so many opportunities there right now. So many, the trends in fintech right now that is seriously booming in Nigeria is because of the challenges that some entrepreneurs saw. Because almost like, I don't know, 50 or 70% of the population are unbanked. They don't have bank accounts. So entrepreneurs went there, okay, this is a huge challenge. Now we have to create something like M-Pesa. We have to create something like different payment solutions are coming up. So, and they're getting serious capitalization, and they're having money being thrown into them, investing into them, and they're seeing their returns, because not everyone has identity who wants to go to the bank, and because of location, because of infrastructure, you don't want to go to the bank. You get, so, but there is free, not free, but there's internet data is available. So text messages are there. So when they saw these opportunities, now they created solutions for fintech. Now they're going into the medical space now, for doctors, surgeons, you know, clinicians. I don't know about chiropractors, but see, medically they are going to medicine now to give you GP online, just the way we are speaking now on this call. Now they do diagnosis, they do all kind of stuff, and your medication is sent to you via drone or maybe just courier service. So it depends on your location. If you have your smartphone, you can access medical. You can see a London GP in my village right now. All you have to do is do monthly subscription. So there's so many challenges that are becoming opportunities right now, because entrepreneurs have seen that, you know what, okay, if I invest maybe 2 grand, 10 grand to test this out, and they see some form of traction, they put their data together, it becomes a trend.
But
So
you know what,
Victor?
Victor?
Yeah?
I just want to answer you about the trend because you know the naira is losing its value to dollar. So a
Yeah.
lot of Nigerian businesses, they are trying to invest in crypto so they can save their money, because they can't even, if they want to send the money outside or something, cryptocurrency is the best way for them to do so. So even when you see the value of Nigerian money is decreasing regarding to the dollar.
Yeah, that's true, and that's the fact. So now I don't have the figures in my head on top of my head right now, but
Mm.
apart from there are few countries that trade on crypto higher than Nigeria, because Nigeria will trade the crypto, not just trade. That is why I don't understand what you mean trade. They buy stuff with crypto.
I thought Nigeria had banned Bitcoin.
I was coming to that. So they ban houses that trade on crypto that are not registered with the central bank.
Mm.
When you say houses, can you expand on that, please?
Businesses.
Okay.
Yeah, businesses that trade on crypto. Because it became I don't know how to say
So
this.
people were avoiding paying tax.
Avoiding paying tax. Yeah, you can just wake up in the morning, have your bank account set up, and say, you know what, guys, I can trade your crypto for you. So it is highly, highly unregulated. And like the way our Nigerian government does things is to bring the hammer and just blah, and just like without due consultation, you just come with the hammer and blah, and they'll start talking. They start speaking to you instead of like consult with those who are doing it. Because just overnight they just say, you know what, no more trading of crypto. If you have a bank account that is trading on crypto, that account should be shut down.
Has anybody actually invested in crypto here? Raise your hands.
Nope.
Okay, so everyone. Just out of curiosity, how do you make the decision? Obviously, you've got lots of currencies bobbing up and down. I'm always getting tips in the car. How do you make the decision what you're going to invest in and why? I'm interested to hear from you, Matilda, on this one, and then Carla.
Well, I took a course. Shall I advertise the course? Well, I took a course from London Real, and obviously they teach you how to trade. I also signed up for another course as well. I haven't put a lot of time in it, but because of the course, it pushes you to invest in crypto. And also lots of people around me, they are investing in crypto, and you're watching the news. Kind of you're getting into the game. What you're trying to do is to buy when they're not famous, when they're not popular, and they have a lot of potential. So that's what you have to do. So there are other coins, not only Bitcoin is the interesting one. There are other coins that are very low value right now, but you feel like they're gonna have a lot of potential in the future. You will have to buy different coins. You have to put money in different areas, and hoping one or two of them will make you good return in a couple of years.
Okay. Before Carla answers this next question, I'm going to throw a question out to the audience. It's a verbal question and to all you as a team. I want you to think about it. If you were given $1 million right now, what would you invest in and why? And in what percentage? I want you to think about that and then give me the answer after Carla's going to give us I'll answer in relation to what Matilda was saying. So over to you, Carla.
Yeah, a similar answer to Matilda, really. I did the course with Brian Rose, and I kind of am close to the team as well on an ongoing basis, doing different things there. So I get to hear what's happening. And what I would definitely say is you need to watch the trends, what's happening, watch the market, and also know which source of information you're following. Brian always gives loads of advice on that. Just be careful with your sources of advice and have discipline. The discipline is more important than what you invest in. It's the approach that you have. So not being like having like a gambling approach is really important. And also watching the number of coins that you invest in, keeping the number of coins and the number of currencies minimal, and being able to understand the market, understand the different platforms, understand the exchanges, understand all the fees and all of that kind of stuff, and have some discipline when you're watching things. Because when we're looking at trends and emerging markets and all of that, I think Victor mentioned earlier, some of that is a bit, it's unstable. It's very unstable. And I think also Sasha touched on this earlier about crypto and different forms of investments being stable or unstable. So having some discipline, having some knowledge about the industry, and then deciding to follow or to invest based on those principles is always a good place to go, because otherwise trends can have you all over the place, wasting money and taking unnecessary risk. That's how I kind of do things. I invested in a few coins. I've got about 5 different coins. And to be honest, I invested in them and just left them there. When I first learned about the different things, different platforms and all that, I bought a few coins, invested in them and just kept them there with a view to going back later when I've got time to sit down and learn some more, because I'm very cautious, very cautious individual. So I don't take risks easily. That's my approach. Mostly Ethereum. I've got mostly Ethereum.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very, very, very interesting. Now the $1 billion question. Carla, tell us, what would you do with $1 million and how would you invest
people? I'd invest in people.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant to say Howler.
Okay.
What would you do with $1 million and how would you invest it and why? But before you answer that, I think I should just talk about my due diligence I experienced when I was in Africa. The reason why I want to talk about that, even though it's not necessarily per se modern technology, different countries at different stages in life. And when I got to Africa in Kenya, in Mombasa on the Pacific, they're like in the 80s, maybe even a bit further back. They were leapfrogging forward because, let's say, house phones, they didn't even need to bother with. They just went straight to the mobile smartphones. But you had to look at the market and how they are operating. And what you found is that Facebook had an agreement with Huawei and all the Chinese phones that every phone that is sold in that East Africa area automatically comes with a Facebook app and it's free for the software. Yeah, so it doesn't matter whether they have data or not, Facebook is always free. That meant everybody was doing business across Facebook. That meant when I had my gym, I needed to market always across Facebook because that's where everybody was. Unlike other countries where Facebook is a bit of a, as my daughter said, it's an old people's thing, Dad. Like, you're just old in that respect. In that sense. Victor, didn't you know? You're older than me, mate. You're in the same club. Yeah. But that's the kind of due diligence you need to be aware of changing markets, because it's a different country, it's different rules, but it's still human beings. So human beings have similar natures depending on their culture. Everybody wants to be comfortable, wealthy, we have to look after their loved ones, but these are things we all need to take into consideration before making investment decisions. Yeah, in that respect. And in essence, smartphone was a new technology. And it was quite impressive because I remember when I first went there and I pulled out a smartphone, people were, ooh. And this is not Africa all over. This is just in the part of Africa in Kenya where I was staying. It's not Kenya all over. So I just stress that before people think I'm stereotyping Africa in any negative way. No, it's just from my personal experience and where I was. But going back to Howler, what would you do with $1 million and how would you invest it and why?
Well, I think I will invest in myself first before investing in others. I think the best thing is to diversify the 1 million and try to have more money. Because if you just give back to people and you give the money back to people, you will end up with no knowledge to help those people. And the more you invest in yourself and the more you have knowledge about the business, about the type of sector you want to invest in, the more you can give twice as much as the money is. And when you say 1 million, sometimes like in New York, for example, 1 million is nothing. In France, maybe it's a big issue. You know, it depends on the country and the mindset of people. A lot of people I speak, for example, in the US, 1 million is nothing for them, but maybe in France it's something
Okay.
really big.
Just to jump in there, Howla, I want to hear from you what you would invest in. You said yourself, fair enough, but what and what percentage? So would you invest 10% on yourself and 90% on crypto? What would you do?
Well, I think I could break it down. I think if I going to invest in crypto, maybe for example, I don't know, you want to give you a percentage,
Rough percentage.
maybe 20%. I think more in the biodiversity, in the farm, biofarms too, and also in lands, those kind of areas that I would like to invest in it.
Okay, that's interesting. Matilda, what about you?
Well, I will invest in me. Definitely, I'm an only child, and I will invest in a skill that I can learn that it can be beneficial in 20, 30, 40 years later. So I will invest in metaverse definitely, and cryptocurrency. Also in gene editing, I will look into. I don't know how I can invest in it, but I will look into how I can do it, and also in AI.
Okay, Victor.
Yeah, Simon, $1 million is good. It's not that huge, But anyways, yeah, you need to. The most important thing to invest, the most important entity to invest in is yourself, which like 10% has to go for myself, and the rest. There's this interesting thing that is happening now in the real estate sector. Whatever country you are, whatever town you are, serviced accommodation, serviced apartments. Yeah, so like 30% will go into service apartments, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, then maybe 20% goes to land banking in Nigeria, then 40% goes to my development. So that is it, and it's gone. Just like that. You see, it's not enough.
Yeah. Remember, you got a lot of families to look after as well, Victor.
Yeah, so I need to look after myself first, then I'll take care of them.
Invest in goat meat, Victor, please.
Yeah, investing in goat meat is better than investing in keeping your money in the bank.
Okay, and Carla, what about yourself? Lovely Carla.
Yeah, I'd have to start with my kids, wouldn't I? So they're going to take a big chunk of any money I have. I would definitely invest in businesses and property for my kids, I think, or at least get them started so that they could then generate some income to do that themselves. And then I think the rest I would definitely invest in my community. We've got a lot of deprivation in the community, and I think when we're talking about advancement and the world moving forward, there are always huge amounts of people that get left behind because they don't have the resources to be able to access what's happening. So even stuff like crypto and all that, there are some people who just get priced out because they're poor people. And they're not poor because they don't work hard. They're just poor because they start at the very bottom in life. So I would definitely invest in that. One of the things I'd love to do is open like education centers for mothers, single mothers, so that they can access things like housing. Because when you're a single mother and you're trying to get out of poverty, for example, the housing costs and the bill costs sometimes doesn't allow you to have enough left to invest and save and things like that. So you always end up just working to pay the bills. even if you work very hard. So I definitely invest in education. I think lots of people don't have enough access to quality education about stuff like finance, like crypto, like investment, like business. So I would invest in something like that would allow parents or mothers from low incomes to be able to have access to those types of opportunities. And also childcare. We face massive problems with childcare for families. Here in the town where I live, there's a shortage of nursery places, which is really a serious issue because for families to be able to get the means to be able to raise income, cover their everyday living costs, and then be able to make that step into saving and investment, they need quality childcare for their kids, and there's a shortage of it. So I think that's it. And also in technology, education technology is a big area as well, where there are lots of investment opportunities.
Okay.
There would be mine.
This following question here, I do to the audience and to the guys. This is quick. Would you start the same business again? Would you start the same podcast again? Same subject? Would you start the same investments, Victor, that you've done? What would you say? Start with Hannah. Would you do the same podcast subject again?
Oof.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Would you do the same podcast subject again that you started? That's your business so far.
I guess each year we change, our values change, our mindset change. So I think we always need to reflect and review on what we're doing. We can't just have just one only vision and not redirect our path. And of course, the podcast will change and will evolve to the better.
Matilda?
I'm not going to change because I love the concept of self-love and self-discovery, and also how to connect with another human being. Doesn't matter how the direction of the world goes, how the metaverse goes, not goes, how the gene editing takes over. We still need to connect with another human being, and I think we are healthy when we have healthy relationship with others. If our relationship with our surrounding and the people that we're loving and with ourselves is not correct, we have depression. So I think my concept and my topic of podcast is important for me, and I believe for others as well.
Okay, that's good. I'm just going to put up this poster. The reason why I put this poster up here, these are the skills that I found from my personal experience that you need to run a good business, whether it's a podcast or just a business. And I could see personally, there's certain things which I was lacking personally. So what I say to Victor and Carla, would you agree that these are key skills that anybody would need to start a business? And how did you fare with these in your life? So we'll start with Victor.
Yeah, Simon. See, before I go into this question, I would just like to touch on the last question.
Okay.
Yeah. See, 100%. Can you see me?
Yeah.
150%. Yes, I will start again. And not just start again. I will rewind 5-10 years. You know, all the time, all the years that fear and procrastination have eaten. For what? But not just nothing, because when I started podcasting, it was like, is this it? Why have I been afraid of this? Yeah, so I would have started long time ago. Yeah, so I would start again. So regards the skills you mentioned just now, yes, these are vital skills. And one of the skills that I did not add is EQ, emotional intelligence. How to actually, understand how people roll, how the soft skills, how you perception, how you present yourself, how you speak to people, even though you are employed under you.
So
Financial literacy is good. patience is it's a must. IT skills, you don't really need that because you can actually employ someone to do that for you. The ability to learn, you must be able to adapt. You must be plastic when it comes to business, because we did not start podcasting with what we're doing right now. We have to keep adapting. So these are definite skills that you must have, but EQ, emotional intelligence, is really, really a strong skill that you must have or learn.
Well, I put IT skills up there because obviously we're talking about new technology, and the thing with when it comes to IT, if you don't understand IT in today's world, you're going to be lacking. And unless you're a farmer, and even then, you're going to need to understand about mobile phones, and mobile phones do come under IT. So
Yeah, well,
that's why that is up there.
You can outsource that. Someone else can take care of that for you. But if you don't know how to deal with your customers,
I agree. I agree. People skills is a key, because even if your prices may not be the best prices, if you've got great personality, it's been proven that customers will all come back. But what my point is about with the IT, understanding IT, is if you've got a business and you need to be able to contact people, you need to be able to use your phone. If you haven't got the capability to understand apps, which is just a reflection of a slimmed down version of a MacBook or a laptop, that you're going to have issues. So and also an accountant, you're going to have an accountant, but you're going to need to understand what he's doing to a certain degree. May not be able to do his job as good as him, but you need to have an understanding. And that's why I put it up there. Carla, what would your comments be on those key skills?
Yeah, I do. I think they kind of are really important skills. I think the willingness to learn and ability to learn and patience. I think patience comes into character, doesn't it? It's a character trait. And I definitely agree with Victor. I think your personality and your character, not your personality, it's more character for me, because personality is sort of fixed. You can't really change it, but you can change character. And the ability to deal with people is key in anything. It's probably one of the only things that you can't outsource. And one of those things that even if you do try to outsource it, it's going to come back on you eventually. You're going to have to deal with people. I think that your character, your nature as a person, your attitude to life is important when it comes to business, and your values as well. If you're all about money or you're all about profit, that's going to come across. And if there's nothing to balance that out, I think all the skills in the world will not help you if you have not got values and character. And I think it's underrated in business, highly underrated. I think there's a lot of focus on other things and not enough focus on that. And I suppose it goes back to the question you were talking about earlier about, would you start that same business? Because I think you have to know when you're starting a business what your character is, who are you, what are your values, and make sure that what you're starting aligns with that, even if it is something as simple as a podcast. Are you talking about something that you know by experience and that you live? So if you're talking about, for example, happiness, are you a happy person? Do you even know what it means to be a happy person? Is really important, isn't it? So yeah, I think those two kind of overlap with each other, but Victor's definitely spot on that, I would say.
Okay, that's great. Well, we're coming to an end now. It's been a very interesting conversation. Is there anything that any of the co-hosts would like to say to add in their last comments in relation to what we've been discussing today? I take it that's a no.
No, I will.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna say, Simon, is regards next week.
Yeah,
You know what, guys? See,
I was going to bring you in on that, but I want to hear from other people in relation to what we're discussing now. So, Carla, go on.
Yeah, I know we're going to talk about other types of technology next week, but what I will say is one of the thoughts that I have a lot, because I'm more about people and about the community and kind of like the on the ground stuff. I do hope, and I think it's important to raise awareness that as we move forward and the world becomes more technologically advanced, we do not neglect the importance of human connection and the importance of the everyday work that we do with people. I think sometimes when the world is getting very advanced, we can think too much about the technologies, too much about the money, about the transportation and the infrastructure of the society. And we're not thinking enough about the on the ground stuff. We've still got major social, emotional, psychological issues going on in the world that cannot be fixed by technology. They can only be fixed by relationships. They can only be fixed by love and by care. And those are all things that you cannot replace with technology. So I do hope that comes out. But I will talk about all that in the last 2 weeks. So back to you, Simon.
Okay, just to jump in there, I spoke to an Amazon guy, American guy today. He's one of the head people at Amazon. And he was talking about how machines are much more effective than people in the long run because of Amazon are well known to have AI machines. But he does education. His job is for educational classes for the staff to educate them on how to use machines and how to navigate. But what occurred to me is that there was no emotional element in what he said. It's just like machines, people, fix machines. The machines are more important, and we need bare amount of people and we move on. This is all very well, but customer service will suffer if there's no human element. So it's a thing where technology does have its limits. Was there anybody else want to say something before we move on to?
Well,
Go on, Matilda.
regarding what you just said, I don't know. You're saying technology has its own limits. We don't know. We don't know what we can create in 20 years. There is a possibility that machines will be a reason that humanity can reunite against the machines. So maybe machines can teach us certain things as well. I don't know. But I think what I would like to tell what Carla was saying, character. I think we shouldn't very panic about what's the world going to be. We need to work on our character, because if we have the right approach and outlook to life, the world can go to the right direction.
Okay. Carla, you was going to say something, or was I mistaken?
I can say something regarding the technology. I think if you want to invest, for example, in crypto, you need to understand that it's just for money and it's not for fun or games. So we can't put our emotions and our personality in it. So you need really to understand what kind of character you have when you are investing in something. Because it's really different. And if you are money oriented, there are stuff for that. And if you are someone who really have a legacy and values, there are some areas for that to invest in. So as Carla said, we really need to know yourself for investing.
Victor, in closing, Victor.
Okay, can I talk about next week?
Yes, you can talk about next week.
Listen, next week is going to be a bomb. Next we'll be talking about building digital real estate. Everything we're talking about here, it is real estate. And you can generate passive income, active income, whatever type of income. You can save your community here on while creating digital real estate. So don't forget, next week it's all about building digital real estate and different type of real estate that is online, that is being powered by Web 3.0. So it is amazing. You don't need to have £1 million or £100,000 or $100,000 to invest in digital real estate. You can start with at least with 1p, 1 cent, zero. You can start with just your voice, with just your face. You can start digital real estate. So next week, just join us 7 p.m. UK time, and it is going to be an amazing time for all of us. So we'll see you then. Over to you, Simon.
Thank you, Victor. We feel the energy, feel the love. A quick question for you, Victor, to help out the audience. For those who are listening, what platform for this virtual platform should they be using? Would you suggest that they go in and they start fiddling around and having a look so they're totally up to speed with what you're going to be talking about? What platform would you say they use?
Okay, to join us.
No, not to join us. Obviously, you're talking about Web 3.0 and all these
Yeah.
virtual metaverse and things like that.
Yeah.
How would they get in? They need to get themselves familiar with what you're talking about. What platforms should they be using?
See, I'm not talking about the metaverse right now because that's another level. What I'm talking about right now is creating digital real estate right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have YouTube, we have Facebook. You can start creating content. Contents are great real estate for all of us.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So next week, Simon, don't jump the gun. Next week.
Fair enough. I've been enlightened. So thanks a lot, Sasha. Thanks a lot, Joe, for turning up, for being our audience, and thanks for the silent audience that I know are listeners, especially my family members who never comment but always tell me they watched and talk about it later on. Apart from that, let's start reintroducing ourselves on our podcast, starting with the lovely Carla on the left-hand side.
I'm Carla, and I'm the host of the Wonder and Wellbeing podcast, which is a podcast all about education and well-being. Over to you, Matilda.
And my podcast is Coffee with Matilda, A Journey to Self, and it's on all the platforms and YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, and I'm Victor. I'm the host of the Diaspora Entrepreneurs podcast. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and all other major platforms. Over to you, Hala.
And I'm the host of the podcast, Women with Stories. So you can find it on all major podcast platforms, Spotify and iTunes. And it's under construction, but you're going to see a new season of it. Over to you, Simon.
Thanks. And I'm Simon. Taxi Chronicles is my podcast where I interview people in the taxi and they talk about their inner secrets and much more. So have a listen. I've got funny stories, I've got sad stories, I've got angry stories, I've got depression stories and all those different things. And I also do Africa Investor Stories where I interview people who've invested in Africa from around the world and they talk about the inner secrets, the do's and don'ts, the pros and cons of what it's like to invest in Africa. And considering it's got 33% of the world's known natural resources, and I stress the word known, it's something you should look into. Apart from that, thank you everybody for turning up. We love you and we appreciate you. And from myself and the co-hosts, goodbye.